There is a story told by the Anishinaabe people of the Great Lakes region about a mother bear and her two cubs. The three bears were driven out of their home by either famine or fire, depending on which version of the tale is being told. The bears needed to get across the Great Lake, so they set out to swim. But the journey across the lake was very long, and the cubs got very tired, and neither were able to make it across. The mother bear made it to the other shore and laid down to look out at where two islands had surfaced in the places her cubs had drowned. It is said that the mother bear still looks out over her cubs in the form of the Sleeping Bear Dune in Michigan. Legends such as these that involve bears are very common in many religions and mythologies. In Native American mythology, bears are often seen as wise, moral figures or guardians, and also as healers due to the animal's ability to keep fighting even when injured. In Viking tradition, warriors would invoke the spirit of the bear to give them incredible strength and fury by donning a bearskin. Perhaps most commonly, they are seen as a fierce and loving symbol of motherhood, such as in the Anishinaabe tale. There are 8 bear species worldwide, and 6 of these are considered endangered. These include the polar bear, the Asian black bear, the sun bear, the sloth bear, the spectacled bear, and the panda bear. I have included a map of the world which is color-coded for where each bear species is located. The map is from the Wikimedia Commons, and I have added the common names of the bear species beside their scientific names. Bear bile has been used in traditional Chinese medicine for 3,000 years, and the demand for bear viscera has led to the hunting of wild bears, illegal international trade of bear parts, and the keeping of bear bile farms, in which bile is extracted from bears kept in small cages. According to animalsasia.org, bear bile farming began in the 1980s, and by the 90s there were already over 400 bear bile farms in China alone, with over 10,000 bears in captivity, many being starved and dehydrated. Bear bile farming is still legal in China, and even though it is illegal in Vietnam and South Korea, many farmers are able to exploit loopholes in the law. The most common type of bear that is hunted for bile is the Asiatic black bear. Although there are no official statistics for the population trends of the Asiatic black bear, it is thought that the population could have declined by almost 50% in the last 30 years alone, and that there are likely less than 50,000 left in the wild. The American black bear is not currently endangered. In fact, the population has even been increasing. But due to the limited population of Asiatic black bears, there is a possibility of risk to American bears if the demand for bear viscera increases and suppliers need to rely on poaching. A bill called the Bear Protection Act of 2021 is in its first stage of the legislative process, and its goal is described by its sponsor, Ted Lieu, as to conserve global bear populations by prohibiting the importation, exportation, and interstate trade of bear viscera and items, products, or substances containing or labeled or advertised as containing bear viscera and for other purposes. During the Trump administration, the Yellowstone grizzlies were stripped of their protections that were ensured by the Endangered Species Act, which made it legal to trophy hunt them. Fortunately, a lawsuit challenged these actions and halted the trophy hunts at the last minute, and the grizzly bear's federal protections were reinstated. Bears have a high ranking on the sociozoological scale, and some species are even characterized as charismatic megafauna, such as polar bears and giant pandas. Charismatic megafauna are well-known species that are appealing in looks and behavior and are relatively relatable. Since bears are so commonly anthropomorphized, all bear species come across as relatable to us. Many people have grown up with stories about anthropomorphized bears, such as Winnie the Pooh, Paddington, the Berenstain Bears, or even the family of bears from the story of Goldilocks. And if a child didn't grow up with these stories, they might have had a toy teddy bear, which paints a picture of bears as cuddly and lovable. Due to symbolic interactionism, the presence of bears in childhood stories and toys leads to many people seeing the bear as an animal that is familiar and comforting. Due to bears' high sociozoological status and their socially constructed symbolism and familiarity, there are many conservation and protection efforts geared toward bear species worldwide, such as through the World Wildlife Fund, the Wildlife Conservation Society, the IBA Bear Conservation Fund, and the Bear Conservation Organization. To finish off this podcast, I can only remind everyone that despite the fact that bears seem cuddly and cute, they are still wild animals. They rarely attack without reason, so before venturing into an area with bears, make sure to do species-specific research on how to avoid a confrontation with a bear. It is possible to view them in the wild without a confrontation by giving them space and making yourself known to them, such as by traveling in a group that may be louder and less likely to surprise a bear than a lone hiker. These incredible animals need our compassion and their independence. Please consider donating to conservation efforts and supporting bills and laws that offer bears better protection. And most of all, remember to never get between a mother bear and her cubs.